Welcome to my first ever video tutorial. This is on setting up the Syscoin Masternode in beta testing. We should be using this guide here, the link for which I will put in the description. So basically there's a few recommendations here. If you just read down and follow them. We're going to be using Vulture for this. The reason being it's a very clean interface. It's $10 a month, which is quite cheap. I've included in here my affiliate link. So what you need to do is to go up to Vulture and sign up and create an account. Once you've done that, we can now proceed to setting up your VPS. Now the guide already exists on this, made by DashPay. So by clicking on this link, it will take you to this page here. In here, it gives you a rundown of what you need to do on the VPS provider, and we should run through these in a moment. So if we go to your VPS provider, in this case Vulture, and we're going to create a new account. I'm going to choose London as the location. Select the version of Ubuntu, which was 16.04, the server size, which was the $10 one, and we're going to give it a friendly name. I'm just going to call it MM5 for now. Now we press deploy now, and the server is now being built. This takes a few minutes and we'll come back once that's finished. So you can now see that server has been built and it's up and running. You next need to click manage, and this will give you the IP address, the username and the password. Make a note of those. It also sends you an email, as you can see. The next thing we need to do is we need to download and install PuTTY. This is a useful little terminal for use with Linux operating system. So if you just download PuTTY and run it. Once you've run it, you need to enter the IP address of the server that was generated on your VPS provider. So if you just copy that, run up PuTTY, you place the IP address in this field, and what I do is I save these sessions under the same name as the server that I created, so that next time I can just double click on the name. So if we open up PuTTY now, the first time you run it on a new server you get a security alert, just accept that. And then the only user that exists at the moment is the root, so we initially need to log in as root. After every command you press enter, it now asks for the password. Now when using PuTTY, when you type in passwords, it's hidden from you. You don't even see the cursor move. So the easiest way to do it is to copy the password and come back and right click on the page. And although you don't see anything happening, it has. If you just press enter, it logs you in. This is something that people sometimes get stuck with. They think nothing's happening, but on the password page it is. So if we return to the dash guide, we now need to change the root password. And with all these commands, you can simply copy them into your clipboard and then right click in Putty and press enter. So this is now requesting me to change the password. Recommend that you do that. That password's changed. Now we need to add a user, because we have been installing the software as a user, not as root. So copy, right click and then add your username. It asks you for a password again, so you can either type a different password in or use the one you use for root. And then you'll get a list of questions. Just accept all these until you get to the yes, no. And then accept that. We've now added a new user. But this user won't be able to carry out any commands as root, so we need to give it permissions. Okay, that's a new user set up. We just need to update the system to make sure it's up to date. As you can see, it's just going through downloading some update packages. Now we need to upgrade it. Agree to any prompts that pop up. I should pause this whilst we're waiting. Okay, we've now finished that upgrade, and now we are going to create a firewall and some swap memory. So once again, just copy and paste. Accept any prompts. Now, as stated in the guide, we're not going to use port 999, we use port 18369. So to edit that, we just use the left and right arrows and move the cursor around until the point just after where you wish to delete, and then use the backspace. Now type in your new number, come to the end, press enter. Accept the prompt. That's the firewall now active. Going to create a swap file. Now what you can do is you can actually select all of this, type it in, and it creates all the swap file for you, and it's just waiting for an enter, so you can edit the fstab file. Now at the end of this, using the up and down arrows, copy and paste this file in. Press Control X, yes, and press enter, and that file is now saved. We now need to reboot the server to pick up these changes. Because we're rebooting the server, that closes PuTTY, so we have to close the window of PuTTY down and reopen it. As I showed earlier, I saved it as MM5, so I can just simply click on MM5. Now we need to log in as the user we created, not root. And we've successfully logged in. We finished with this guide now. If we go back to Syscoin guide, we now need to update the VPS operating system. So once again, it's just copy, paste, enter. First time it's going to ask you for your password. We're going to use Nano as the editor, but Nano's already installed on this VPS, so we don't need to. And you know, just follow these guides one line at a time, copy, paste, enter. It's as simple as that. Okay, now we're going to move on to building the core. Again, it's just the same, just copy and paste each line. Press enter. Accept any prompts. Now the next two lines take a little while, so I will pause them whilst it's doing it. Okay, that's completed that, and then the next command is the make command. Now, as stated here, this can take quite some time. So we'll run that command, and we'll leave this for now and move on to installing Syscoin Qt on the local machine. So you need to download the latest version. So you just click on this link. Select the zip file. And you just unzip it and install Qt and run it up. Now I've already done that, so I won't carry on with that. So once you've done that and your wallet is loaded, you need to go to Tools, Options, Tools, and Open Wallet Configuration File. This opens it up in an editor, and if these lines are not already in it, you just simply add them to it. Once you've added them, they should look like this, and click Save. So now we go to Settings, Options, Wallet, and we enable calling control features and show Masternode tabs. OK that, and return to the guide. We now need to close and open the wallet to allow it fully to sync with the network. Whilst you're doing that, if you create a notepad file on your desktop, this will be used to save some information for later on. So what we need to do now, while it's fully synced, is go to Tools, Debug, Console, and in there we need to enter Masternode keygen, and this will generate a Masternode key for you. Need to make a note of this key because we will be using this on the VPS and within here. So if we open up a new field and just paste that in as Masternode key. We move down to the next part. Now we're going to generate an address, and this is an address that you're going to send your Masternode collateral to. So again, just copy, back to debug, paste, but change the label to something you recognize. Now I call them the same as the server. So if we get account address M5, that will create a new address and give it the label M5. So we copy this address and put this into our notepad. And now we can exit the console. Finish with this for now. Now, as it says there, it's a good time to encrypt your wallet. It's a useful thing to do even in test. Plus, there's an annoying little bug in the dash version in the background. in that if you don't put a password in, occasionally it thinks you have put a password and asks you for it. So it's best to set a password. You now need to get some test sys, and the way you do this is to take the address that you've generated and ask in Slack for someone to send you 100,000 coins and a TX. Okay, request made. We just have to wait. Okay, so we've had our 100,000 sent, and we need to make a copy of the TX. Put that in our notepad file. Return to the guide. And proceed. Now at this stage we've finished the Qt and we need to return to the VPS. Now this has not yet finished the install, so you're going to have to wait. It can take more than half an hour, so I'll pause the video for now. Okay, we've now finished building the source. We need to move on now to setting up the configuration. So once again, it's simply just copy and paste. Remembering that paste in Putty is just right click and enter. I'm now going to create a configuration file. Here we have a blank editor, and if we move on down the guide, we just copy all of this in. And come to the Masternode private key, remove the information that's in there, just use the backspace. Go to the notepad file we created earlier and copy your Masternode private key. Now we need to change the IP address to the IP address of your server. So if you return to Vulture, if you just copy the IP address, paste it in. As per these instructions. So we now press Ctrl X, yes, and enter. We've now created a configuration file. We're now going to run Syscoin core, change the directory to the correct one. And start up Syscoin. As you see, it's saying it's starting, but we have to wait for this message. And there we are. We now press enter. And that is Syscoin running on your VPS server. Now I need to introduce the Masternode to the network, so we need to go back to the Qt. And go to the console again, Tools, Console. This time we need to type in Masternode outputs. And what this will do is produce a long string, which is the TX number that your coins were sent to earlier. And from this we're going to get the index number, whether it's a 0 or a 1. So we need, because I've already done one, I've got 2 TXs, so we need to see the one we're interested in is this one, which ends in B7A. And that's this one with the 0 at the end. So we now go to Tools, open Masternode configuration. Close this down for now. This opens up a Masternode configuration. Now, as you can see, I've already got loads of them there from my previous, but we're going to be setting up MM5. So in here we have to copy the IP address, the Masternode private key, the TX with the index. So to get the IP address, we return to Vulture, copy that again, and type it in. We now need to get the private key from our text file. Copy it in. And we also need the TX. Now if you see at the end, we've got a 0 because in Masternode outputs, that's what it said. Sometimes it can be a 1. Once you've entered these, just press save, return to the guide. And if you notice, we also added the port 18369. We now need to close and reopen Syscoin core so that it picks up these changes. Okay, now we need to return to VPS and install Sentinel. This is a watchdog to make sure the node's communicating. Again, it's just copy, right click in putty, press enter. Because we've logged on for the first time and I'm using sudo, you need your password. These are quite quick, so I won't bother pausing. Okay, now we need to edit the configuration file. So if we move down, we see we've got your username. We need to change that. To your username. And then make sure that network testnet looks like this one. Once this is done, you control X, Y and enter. And you've finished with the configuration file. We now need to finish the setup. If this didn't work, we would go on and do an install, but it has worked, so we now move on to requirements. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, because we're running, our Masternode should be syncing with the network. And there you are. It says it's finished. If it wasn't finished, all you would do is repeat the command. As it says, if you press the up arrow in PuTTY, it repeats the previous command, as you can see, but we don't need to do that. So, for almost the last step, we need to go back to Qt, wait for it to finish syncing, which it has done. It's up to date. We go to the Masternode tab. Here's our new Masternode. If it says it's missing, we say start missing. If it's not, we do start alias. So in this case, we'll do start missing. Are you sure you wish to? Enter your password. And we've successfully started a Masternode, and it goes into Watchdog. Return to the guide. And now we're going to set up a Sentinel cron job. Making sure you copy everything. And when you type this command in, nothing should happen. Like so. Don't worry, just carry on. That means everything is working okay. Then we have to wait a little bit for a couple of options to pop up. Okay, and we select option 2. Come to the end of the file. And add this line. Changing your username to your username. Now if you wish, you can get Syscoin to boot up on reboot of the server. To do so, you just add this extra line. Many thanks to the user who suggested this. Again, change your username. Press Ctrl X, Y and enter. That's that part completed. We now go and check to see if everything's working. And there we go, our Masternode has started. Now we want to see its status. And if you come up with this dialog, this should match the details of your Masternode config file in the Qt. And if you get that message, everything is okay. You can now return to the Qt and wait for your Masternode to change to enabled. This can take a little while, so be patient. Okay, once that's enabled, your Masternode will start to receive rewards. One of the reasons we've done it this way with the Qt is that all your coins are stored on your local wallet. Nothing is stored on the remote server, so you are in control. That's it. Thank you very much for listening. And don't worry, I won't give up my day job.